So, so my name is Annie Zonneveld. I am the co-founder of Muslims for Progressive Values, and the first community that was started was that I started in Los Angeles 6.5 years ago. And because of 9/11, what we discovered that there was a real need for the progressive Muslims in America to come together and for our voices to be heard. Because what happened after 9/11 is all we heard were the conservative voices. And many of the Muslims in America said, well, hang on a second, you don't represent me, so don't speak for me. Right? And so that's how the progressive Muslims in America started coalescing and started becoming a real organization. So this group came together officially as a registered company, a nonprofit NGO in 2007. Our principles are very simple. We think it's very simple, but identity, equality, separation of religion and state, freedom of speech, universal human rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, critical analysis and interpretation, compassion and diversity. Now, I will just go very briefly over each 10 points. So identity is simple. If you call yourself a Muslim, then you're a Muslim. And so no one can question you what kind of Muslim you are. Right? No one can say, oh, no, that's not what a Muslim is not. So if you're a gay Muslim, I'm sorry, you're Muslim. Right? Don't argue with me on that. Equality, it's the same thing. It's very interesting how when we as an organization, we advocate for equality, absolute equality. And when we say equality, we don't mean that you can come to our organization and be prejudiced against somebody else. So we are very intolerant of intolerance. Okay? And this is very important, that a lot of times we find that people try to advise us and say, oh, why don't you just support feminist Muslim rights first, and then you talk about LGBTQ rights. But that's compromising on your values, and that's not good enough. And separation of religion and state. In America in particular, this is really important, because what we have is the Republican Party that is basically passing legislations that are very conservative, very radical Christian interpretation. And so, in my opinion, there's no difference between them and I call it the Christian Sharia law and Islamic Sharia law, because both of them, they take away our rights, because they don't come from the niyat, from the space of equality and justice. Yeah, they come from a different place. Freedom of speech, even if it's speech, the cartoons that we don't like and the stupid film trailer from America that we don't like, we advocate for freedom of speech. Universal rights, women's rights. For women's rights, this is very particular for us, because in America, we don't have the issues of girls not being allowed to go to school and get education. For our women's rights, it is more about spiritual equal rights. And this is really important, because you have the Quran that gives women spiritual equal rights, but what we have is the hadith, and I'm assuming many of you know what the hadith is. It's sayings of the Prophet Muhammad 100 years after he died. Oh yeah, Prophet Muhammad said XYZ. Yeah, right. Right? So what we have is, we have the hadith that completely contradict the message of the Quran. And these hadith messages are very misogynistic. And so, when you have a hadith that says that the soul of a woman is equivalent to an ass, as in a donkey, then you understand the mentality of this patriarchy system that we have in Islam that does not belong in Islam. And that we really need to extract that away. And so when we say women's spiritual rights, until we can recognize that, until straight men recognize that, will we have no longer, hopefully, domestic violence and misogynistic practices in many, many forms, okay? LGBTQ rights, I think you know our work on this, hopefully. We have been at the forefront of LGBTQ rights. No apologies. We make no apologies for supporting LGBTQ rights. And we do, everything that we do is from the context of Islam. It has to be from the context of Islam. Critical analysis and interpretation. And again, we discussed this briefly, we touched on it. We Muslims, we need to learn Islam. It is impossible to move forward when the Muslims themselves are ignorant about the qualities of of our values that is stated in the Quran. Until we know what it is, we cannot fight back. All right? Compassion. It's a no-brainer, but it's amazing because you're compassionate towards someone. People actually hate you for being compassionate about someone, right? So I'm going to go over our accomplishments really quickly. We have something called MPV Unity Mosque, and so we have different chapters in America. And MPV Unity Mosque is where we come together to pray. We take turns on who leads prayer. Sometimes I lead prayer, sometimes I do the azan. And we take turns on giving the khutbah, the sermon. So it's a very democratic process, and this is very important, so that everyone feels included. Yeah? So we have quite a few chapters now, and even in 2 chapters in Canada. And then we have this lecture series that we partner up with a local university in Los Angeles. And here we discuss issues that the mosque doesn't want to discuss. Yeah. So like we had a lecture on, can a Muslim woman marry non-Muslim men? So, and we had a professor come and speak about it. So. And one of the things that we are very, very proud of is that we officiate, that means we marry. I also do that. I marry nikah, Islamic marriage with a contract. And do that in particular for Muslim women who are married non-Muslim men, because I get phone calls from Malaysia, from Norway, from so many places. Women that are desperately that want to marry. They're Muslim, the Muslim identity. They want to marry a non-Muslim man, and nobody wants to marry them because of the traditional interpretation, right? So we do that, and we also marry same-sex marriages. So we do it in LA and in several cities. So we really encourage our officiants to do these type of services, and you have to have license to do it. And then I'm very proud of this project. It's called Literary Zikr, and it means literary, it's writings, and zikr, remembrance of God, right? We did zikr this morning. And what we do in this particular project is we take the scholar writing of progressive Muslim professors, and we dumb it down. We simplify it to an English of, if you read and speak English at 13 years old level, then you can read this material. Because the problem that we have a lot of fantastic progressive Muslim scholars, but nobody reads their books because it's so difficult to understand. It's like heady stuff. So we want to dumb it down so that we can promote these progressive values. And I would really like here in this international conference that for you to come to the website, look at our material. We have only 2 so far. It's one on Sharia law, and the other one is on sexuality in Islam. I would like for these 2 pieces to be translated into as many languages as possible. Yeah. And really share it. Just give it away, give it away, give. People need to learn what Sharia law is. It's man-made, okay? Period. And so we need to just come to terms with it, and we need to be very educated about it. And so, yeah, so that's that. And these are some of the other products. But what we're finding is that we're doing more and more educational stuff. So we put this book out, and it's writings, it's an anthology, and it's writings of progressive Muslim members of our community in the United States and Canada. They're so short stories, personal, spiritual journeys, yeah? And the other thing here is a DVD, this one, that I'm going to go to Denmark on Monday, and it's being launched, and it's put together by a Danish journalist, and it's a collection of interviews of progressive Muslim activists and scholars, and I'm one of the activists in it. And it's very interesting because it takes governance, democracy, gender rights, LGBTQ rights. It takes all these issues from a progressive perspective, all in one DVD. So it's very unique. Of course, we do a lot of partnership with LGBT companies, NGOs, and interfaith stuff. Women reproductive rights. We have become more active on that. So these are all the different chapters that we have. So when I say inclusive, it's very important that everyone is welcome, okay? So if you're a transgender, you come to our mosque, you don't have to worry, where am I going to stand in prayer? That's not going to be an issue for you. That's the difference. And this is, just to give you an idea of what we look like. We had a party, and we had a demonstration. Free Hamza. I don't know if you know, he tweeted in Saudi Arabia, and then he had death threats. He ran away, and Malaysia stopped him and turned him back to Saudi Arabia. So, and this one here, it was this is a Muslim congressman. He's the first Muslim congressman in America, Keith Allison, and he is LGBT, 100% LGBT friendly and supportive. It's fantastic. We have 2 congressmen, and they're both LGBT friendly, so it's them. So no national Muslim organization represents a large percentage of the community. These numbers are shocking. Because you have all these big organizations here, and their numbers are dismal, right? And for the longest time, you only saw the big organizations listed in the media. You never saw progressive Muslims. You never saw anyone but Orthodox Islam. And so when these numbers came out last year, all these organizations didn't say anything. Okay? So that's why what we do is really important. I believe that MPV is going to be the future of what American Muslims is going to look like. Right? I mean, where are you going to go? Only 30% of American Muslims go to mosque. I don't know what it is in your respective country. 70% don't go to mosque. Why? Because it's discrimination, because the women have to go through the back door, because the women have to pray in a small space, etc. So the women don't have a voice, gay, it's like homophobia in the mosque. So why should we go to the mosque? So people give it up, right? So we have ex-Muslims that come and join us. So it's like, oh, thank God for you guys, right? So that's important. So we have. So what's really important as an American organization is that we have to establish an American Muslim culture, because we are a land of immigrants, and everything that is Islam is from Pakistan, from the Arab land, from Turkey, from wherever else, but from America. So we are developing our own American Islam. So when I say that, some Muslims, even progressive, they get pissed off because of the word American Islam. It's very political for them. So we want an Islam that is relevant for the 21st century. It has to be an Islam that is a living faith, that really is relevant to our lives. And the Quran says that. The Quran is for all people, for all times. So why are we stuck in 1400 years ago? Why? Why do we let that happen? We must not let that happen. We have to take it back. So our goal is to be our principles, to be the principles in the mosque. We are not saying that, hey, you are wrong and we are right. That's not how we do it. We just build ourselves, our community up. We have to build ourselves up with positive work and positive energy. People in their community will see what we are doing, and they will have the conversation within their mosque. And when they have that conversation within their mosque, then the leadership will be challenged. And then they will be pressured to change as well, right? It's not for us to come to them, say Mosque A, hey Mosque A, now you have to become MPV. No, that's not the agenda, okay? Mosque A has to change from within. And by our mere existence, we are challenging that. We are making them have that conversation. So, I know there's interest in EU for MPV, and hopefully in the UK too, and hopefully in Argentina, and so this is basically the 3 pillars of MPV. MPV Unity Mosque, I already explained to you what it is. Islamic arts, music, literature, and theater. This is very important for us to develop our own arts. Because when you have your own arts, your own culture, then people cannot discriminate against you, right? And so, for example, now I don't know how it is here. I think it's probably maybe even worse here than in America. In America, you cannot have a woman singing, and this is a personal story for me. You cannot have art depicting faces because it's against Sharia law. It's like, what is Sharia law? Go ahead, make it up, right? So you have to say what Sharia law is, and you have to claim what is Islamic and not. So what we want to do through the arts is to have our own American Islamic identity. So I bought this. I just finished my 3rd Islamic CD, and it is imagine, if you will, church choirs. How many of you like going to Christmas service? Come on. How can you not like going to Christmas service? It's so beautiful. At least in America, it's so beautiful. Anyway, Christmas carols, it's beautiful. It's so spiritual. So the CD is basically taking choral, classical arrangements and putting Islamic content on top of it. Do you understand? So can you imagine that? So that's the kind of thing that we like to do. And after our Friday prayer in Los Angeles, we actually sing as part of our Friday prayer service, and the community sings along, right? So that's the change that we are doing, and literature and theater. Like, how do we promote our values? And art is a powerful tool, because if you want to talk about honor killing, if you have someone talk, it doesn't really move you emotionally. If you have a theater piece that really emotes what happens, then that's the kind of art pieces that we want to promote and we want to create. Yeah. So Progressive Islam Institute, and I'm sure you have this here. The Salafis and the conservatives, they cook out, they churn out these miniature Salafis, right, for the next generation. We are progressives, we're not doing the same. We need to do the same. We need to teach our fellow Muslims about progressive values, and we need to teach the next generation as well. That's the only way that we can propagate our values, because they're very good at it. Now, cartoon is the best form of communication, for the most part. You can see it, everyone? Yeah? Isn't that true?
What is apostasy?
Huh?
Ils sont très beaux.
Apostasy is when you convert out of Islam. When you convert out of Islam. Yeah. Are you done? Finished? Yeah? Okay. So, I will... Okay, so we had an Eid prayer this year, and we had the young woman lead prayer, and she did it in Arabic, English, Arabic, English. Here it says that we have 1.1 million views. Now it's like 1.4 million views. And so this is like an example of how we pray. And because she did the prayer Arabic, English, Arabic, all hell broke loose. The fact that she was a woman was one thing. The fact some of us were not covered, that's another thing. The fact that we were not segregated, that was another thing. So the comments from, a lot of it from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, and all these, it was really ugly. But the good thing is, because of the negative comments, we got interviewed by the Iraqi television. They did the documentary about us. And then I was interviewed on an Egyptian television station just last week that was broadcast everywhere. So there's always a good thing, even when it's a negative response, yeah? Always turn it. And finally, food for thought. Did you see the poem? We couldn't find the 76 virgins either. Right? Yeah?